Welcome to Yuan Consulting, and on this channel where you find top quality insights into your consulting career. And if you haven't yet done so, hit the subscribe button right now. Maybe because I'm a former McKinsey consultant, I get often approached with the question, Jack, how do I get into McKinsey? How do I get into BCG or Bain? And I always ask back first, why do you want to become a management consultant? Because not everybody has to become a management consultant. This topic of making a conscious career choice is a very important one. And I recently got invited to give a talk to Rotary Young Leaders in Manila, Philippines. And I decided to talk about career choice, which is a topic that accompanies us throughout our lives and careers. And since it was so well received, I redid it for you, and you can see it right now. Welcome to my talk on Find Your Destiny, how to choose the right career path. And many young people keep asking this question themselves, but also if you're already a bit more advanced in your career, you may keep asking this question, are you on your right career path? Are you on your path towards destiny? And this is what we are going to explore now. So basically, just to relieve you a bit in case you are concerned, I tell you, different people may take different paths to find their destiny career-wise. So there's some people actually who have very clear idea where they want to go and they just execute it. Maybe already when they were a young kid, people like maybe they knew from the age of 6 they wanted to become a physicist and they became a physicist, right? So I think we all sometimes envy these people. And they just go straight forward and climb the ladder on their career straightforwardly. But also there's the other group of people, and I think it's not so small, they take a bit more time to find out what is their destiny career-wise. And they may take some erring around, exploring left and right, orbiting around until they eventually get there. And you may find the following insights surprising. So I did some research on how fast people arrive at their, say, career-wise, at their end goal or their destiny. And I found this very interesting data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics from 2019. And they actually, I think every decade or so, asked a group of 10,000 survey participants how many jobs they have hold until their certain age. And so what you can see here on the left on the graph is actually that men and women is a very similar picture. Until the age of 52, they held on average about 12 jobs. And that actually, to me, was really surprising insight, because if you look a bit closer, the people who actually were surveyed here were born in the 60s. So about 60 years ago, when you were thinking maybe things were a bit more stable than nowadays and so on. But no, even those, they changed jobs rather frequently on average. And actually, if you look on the right side of the chart, I think I make myself invisible here quickly. You will see here that the younger you are, the more jobs you take on, right? So these data may tell you that maybe the more you have tried out, at some point you approximate towards your end goal and you just stay with what you are happy in. So I think that's an encouraging insight as well. Now, what is now for the current generation and for our future? So to quote Roald Talva, who is a future researcher, he says, children today can expect to hold 40 different jobs in 10 completely different career paths in their lives. Now, I have to ask the question, what does he mean by 10 completely different career paths? That's actually a high number. But I think we all expect that this trend of changing jobs, different profession, business, this is something to continue and actually accelerate. Now, what's really important, and that is what I suggest to you all, maybe for some of you it's not so easy to find out where you really want to go in the long term, and that's okay. It may take some time to explore and to try out, experiment, but still it's important that you develop a sense of direction, that you have a compass leading to maybe what is your end goal, right? So that you maybe every time you kind of change career, like take on a new step or so on, but you have a feeling that is going well in the right direction. And I tell you this, and the next picture may be a bit harsh, but I really don't want you to end up like this. In the sense that if you don't have a sense of direction, you just basically see how it goes, you may end up in a position where others have taken the decision for what's good for you or what not, right? And this can be okay, can work for some of you, but it can also be very frustrating. So really take your life and your luck into your own hands. And in the following, I want to show you how this is working. So maybe you have seen this framework before, and it's a useful framework, and don't worry, I will add some new twists to it. So what you find here is a very useful framework that shall help you to get closer to what is your destiny career-wise. And I want to make this remark, destiny is a very big word, and I'm talking about job, business, and so on. You may also fulfill your destiny if you set up a family, if you serve your partner, your loved ones, or if you work for a charity. There's many ways to fulfill your destiny, but I think most of us will agree that your career, your profession contributes a lot to fulfilling your destiny. So what you see here on this chart is actually 3 criteria, and in combination they should lead you to finding your sweet spot or destiny. So it's very important that first you do what you love, okay? Do what you love, because that will drive you and will make you happy, and we love to thrive in our passions. Then of course, for your profession, it's important, do something that you can do well, right? Your abilities, it should match your capabilities. And third, if you want to make a nice living out of it, offer what is on demand, what pays well. And now let's zoom into these. So again, first do what you love and ask yourself, what are things that you like doing? And if you just look at this picture here, maybe you like writing, you like chemistry, you enjoy painting and the arts, music, you like talking, like me today on this presentation. Maybe you like doing with your hands. I mean, you like building things, repairing things. You love the world of numbers and data. Or you like being outdoors, or you love food. I mean, who doesn't, right? And here it's important, think both about your hobbies and also what you do in your jobs. Because hobbies is easy and it's kind of the obvious. But also, even in times when you are working, I mean, it's work, but maybe there are certain tasks that you enjoy more than others. And try to look out for things you like, even in such activities. And also it's important to those of you who maybe have done this exercise before, keep asking yourself, what are your passions? Because they can change over time. Maybe in the next few years you do new things that you haven't been aware of before, and you maybe discard passions that you have now. So this can change. And it's also important that you keep in mind that no job only is fun. So if I think sometimes of famous Hollywood actors, which certainly is a dream job, right? And I read in the newspapers, they have to kind of lose 20 kilo in 6 weeks or gain 20 kilo in 6 weeks. I mean, I feel like, man, that's like torture. Or if you think of professional soccer players who may be millionaires, but they get injured so often. It's rather cruel, right? So even in these so-called dream jobs, there's always something that is maybe not so much fun. So it's good to know it's good to do something that you love, but be aware there will always be something that maybe it's a bit annoying. And so I give you your first homework for today. So please take 10 or 15 minutes in our fast and speedy world. Maybe take a seat in the sun or the shadow as you like, and write down the things you like doing. Make a list of things you like doing. And can be your hobbies and your jobs and so on. Should be an easy exercise for you. Just do it so you can tick this first box. And now the second criterion. Do what you can do well. What are your capabilities? And again, it's a similar activities, right? I mean, ask yourself, what are you good at? Are you good at writing? Are you good at chemistry? Maybe you're a good painter, or you can sing. Maybe you're a good talker. You maybe often get called in because you can fix things, repair things. You're good in the world of data and maths and numbers. You're a good chef, and so on and so on. So again, think both of your hobbies and jobs, because again, hobbies are a bit like your obvious, what you can do well, but also in your work. What are kind of things you get asked for by others? I mean, what do they ask you to do? And on the second criterion, I really want to stretch it a bit further, right? Because don't just think of your current capabilities. Think of your potential and talents, because you can learn, right? There are skills you can develop over time. I want to give you an example here. I mean, think of a pilot, right? Flying an airplane. I mean, certainly a pilot hadn't been born with the ability to fly an airplane. I mean, he had to go to school and learn it, right? And now he has mastered the skill. Or think of a Nobel Prize laureate in physics. I mean, certainly he didn't have the skills in his cradle. I mean, he had to develop them over time, right? And you can do the same thing. You can learn. And how do you find out what your capabilities are? And again, there are some obvious ones. You of course can ask yourself and do your list what you think you can do well, and that's a good thing. Also, you may get some clues from your transcript of records. Where did you have good grades at school and so on at university? But you can do more, because sometimes we have blind spots when it comes to our abilities, and we think, oh, that's easy, but maybe it's easy for you and it's special to others. So in here, basically, I want to encourage you, ask people who know you well or not so well, people you interact with, and maybe who are a bit more experienced, have more life experience, a bit wiser people, like maybe your parents, your boss at work, some close friends. Ask them, what do you think I'm good at? What do you think I should develop further? What are my talents? And maybe they tell you what you really know, but I assure you, they will tell you new things that you hadn't even thought about before. And if you want to take it up a notch, you can even do a more formal survey. You can send out an email to like 50 people on your mailing list and say, hey, look, I'm trying to develop where I want to go at, and I have these 3 questions to you, like what do you think I'm good at, what should I develop, and so on. Can be a bit private, but typically if you ask such honest question about yourself and share something private, and you show some vulnerability at the same time, and people love to encourage you and help you. And actually, there are some tools online if you want to do it anonymously, such a survey. I actually may make another video on that, how to do kind of such a survey among your loved ones and colleagues and so on. That brings us now to criterion number 3. Offer something that is in demand and that pays well. And what I've brought for you here today is actually a chart from Statista 2021, and it shows you the average gross starting salary for German university graduates, actually in percentage terms. So basically, the graphic designer starts here with 100%, and the other graduates from other subjects earn more. And again, this is entry salary, right? So starting salary first year. And you can see actually at the bottom of this ranking, you also find humanities and social science, architecture, language and cultural science, communication, PR. Then there's a bit of a gap. I also left out a few subjects, but there's actually a quite substantial gap in there. Then you have law, natural sciences, business informatics, industrial engineering, and medicine. So the so-called STEM subjects are on top. And I mean, you can look at different countries, you will find similar pictures, right? So, and you can see actually like, say, business informatics pays you 50% more than a design jobs or humanities degree. Of course, this is just a starting salary, but of course, if you come from a higher base, it's also easier to grow, right? And so this is important to take into consideration. Now, of course, we all know there's very famous actors, artists, and so on. They make a very good living. And again, it's a mixture of these 3 criteria. I mean, you should also do something that you love. Still, though, I mean, if you want to pursue a creative career, you will have to be very creative with what you're doing. I would like to augment this discussion on what pays well and so on. I would like you to also consider this issue of where you want to be in the longer term. So there's this kind of the archetype of the generalist. So a generalist is kind of a jack of all trades because he or she has many abilities, right? She's good at juggling things around, is a good project manager, and always is in touch with many people with different work streams and so on. And actually, many politicians are such generalists because we have to take care of many different issues at the same time in the public world. Or think of a company manager. I mean, he has to be able to delegate a lot of tasks, but also he has to be aware of what is going on in his company. Actually, also a consultant often has a generalist quality. So actually, I like this jack of all trades. So that's a good skill to have. There's a risk with the generalist figure that's actually serious. There's always somebody who's better than you in these things you do, right? Because I mean, of course, you can do everything, but since you spend your time on many different items, you will never reach that mastery that somebody else can reach if he only focuses on one area, right? So this is something you have to be aware of. And actually, I want to just add it. This juggling around can be stressful, and for some people, it can also be fun. So much on that. And then there's the contrasting archetype, that is the expert. So the expert, of course, is somebody who's like very deep in his or her niche, right? Like, of course, think of a researcher, but also in other areas of life, in many professions. I mean, even if you want to have a service, you will call somebody who knows what he or she is doing, right? And so the expert is very deep. And to be honest, I think it's not a bad spot to be in. Because if you're an expert in a well-sought area, you certainly get well paid because your expertise is special. And you also have a comparatively easygoing life because it's hard to replace you, right? I mean, they have to come to you. There's some risk associated with the expert role as well. I mean, for a certain type of personality, it can be a bit boring. If you're, say, a scanner personality who likes to explore many different areas in life, the idea of focusing too much can be threatening. And also, you're certainly to some extent vulnerable. So what happens if your knowledge all of a sudden becomes obsolete due to a kind of a technical breakthrough? Think of the corona crisis when planes are on the ground and these pilots have a very specialized education. So what do we do next, right? I mean, they wait, but they're not so flexible to change career. So I encourage you to, in the long term, find your niche. And I think if you're early in your career, it's good to build up these generalist skills, transferable skills that you can plug in different jobs and areas and business and so on. But also at some point, you may want to add on a bit of knowledge in a certain area. So you also take on some expert qualities that also give you this bit of extra pay. Now, let's bring it all together. How to now find your sweet spot and maybe your destiny, at least career-wise. So do what you love, do what you can do well, and offer what is in demand. Let's now explore what actually happens in these different areas if you have a partial overlap. So if you actually only tick 2 boxes, let's say you do something that you love and you do something that you can do well, but you don't get really well paid for it because there's not so much demand for it. And that means you end up with a risk of being poor, right? So if it's okay for you, I mean, maybe you love what you're doing and that's enough for you, then that's cool. But just be aware that number 3 can be nice as well. If you now combine doing what you love and offering what is in demand, but you don't have the skills to deliver, then actually you end up in an impossible box here. And again, though, I want to encourage you here, if it's really what you want to do, then start learning it. I mean, find a mentor, find a coach, take online courses. I mean, now at our age, there's so much you can teach yourself, or you can ask others to teach you that. You can develop the skills, and then actually you grow into that area too as well. Do what you can do well. And then actually very important, what happens if you do something that you can do well and you offer something that is in demand. So for instance, you become a management consultant just because you think it's a good career it pays you well, it has good reputation and so on, but maybe you don't enjoy it, maybe you don't like it and you would have liked to do something else. Then you end up with the risk of doing something that is boring to you. And the consequence may be unhappiness, then after a few years you may want to change your career anyway, right? So it's important to keep this in balance. And of course now if you manage to get all three right, you have found your sweet spot and you have certainly made a huge leap forward towards fulfilling your destiny. Having said that, let's have a bit of a laugh. So I actually switched to a movie. So what you have just been seeing, this diagram with the three circles and overlapping areas and subsets that have something in common, that's a so-called Venn diagram. And of course, you can take it also too far when you apply this concept to career choice analysis. And there's one person who's done that. He's a comedian. His name is Don McMillan. And I just show you a brief sequence on his comedy act on this topic. Let's go.
Now, over here, if you got OCD, everything has to be exactly right. And you have math skills, you're an accountant, is what you are. Right. You can't solve any problems, but you can identify them. Right? That's what accountants do. That's what they do. Every accountant I met, oh, you got to fix this. You are screwed. They don't solve any problems. Over here, if you're into drinking and you have people skills, well, join our sales force. Welcome aboard. Look at you guys. Apparently VP and Executive Vice President of sales. Over here, if you're heartless and you got OCD, you're in human resources. What? We have human resources people here? Calm down. And if you're heartless and into drinking, you're a lawyer. That's how that works. And if you're all of these things, then you are a comedian. That's how that works.
If you like the little extract and want to watch the full version, go to Don's YouTube channel. This video has gone viral. You'll find the link below in the description. I hope you found this talk useful and insightful. Maybe you got inspired, and if so, please hit the like button. And also, if you think there's other people who struggle with their career choice, feel free to share this video. Also, if you yourself have a comment or idea you want to share, ask me below in the comment section. I will try to get back to you. If you haven't yet done so, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the top quality content on your consulting career on this channel. And I said earlier that originally I gave this talk live to a crowd of young leaders in Manila, and the live talk was followed by a very moving and touching Q&A session. So if you want to go a bit deeper, I recommend to you stay on this channel and watch the Q&A following right afterwards. And I want to close with a few more words on destiny, which again is a big topic. But if you train your brain to get this compass and go into the right direction, you may orbit around your perfect career and destiny for a while. But at some point, you may be able to see it and then just reach out to it and take it to your heart. See you soon.